Many people stay in toxic relationships not because they do not recognize the pain, but because their brain slowly adapts to emotional chaos as a survival. Strategy: toxic relationships rarely begin with control, neglect, or emotional harm. They usually start with intense emotional connection, attention, validation, affection, and a feeling of being deeply seen and understood. This early phase creates a powerful emotional imprint in the brain. Dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin are released, which makes the bond feel safe, exciting, meaningful, and addictive. The brain records this person as a source of comfort, identity, and belonging. And once this attachment is formed, it becomes extremely difficult to break, even when the relationship slowly starts. Changing over time, small red flags appear. Communication becomes inconsistent. Emotional availability decreases, criticism replaces care, boundaries are crossed, and love starts feeling conditional. But instead of reacting strongly, the brain protects. The attachment psychology explains that the brain prefers familiarity over safety, because familiarity feels predictable, and predictability feels like control. So even painful patterns start feeling comfortable because they are known. Hope becomes one of the strongest psychological traps. We stay emotionally attached to who the person used to be, not who they are now. The brain holds on to potential instead of reality, believing that with enough patience, sacrifice, understanding, or love, the relationship will return to its original phase. Fear of loneliness plays a major role because the human brain is wired for connection. Isolation activates survival anxiety, making being alone feel more dangerous than being emotionally hurt. Emotionally, dependency develops when one person becomes the primary source of validation, comfort, identity, and self-worth. Without them, the brain feels empty, directionless, and unsafe. Trauma bonding deepens this attachment when cycles of pain and affection are mixed together. Rare moments of kindness after long emotional distress release intense dopamine, which makes those moments feel incredibly powerful. This conditions the brain to chase relief instead of stability, creating an addiction-like loop, where love becomes associated with emotional highs and lows, confusion and struggle rather than peace. Over time, the nervous system becomes dysregulated. The body stays in a constant state of emotional alertness, always waiting for the next change in mood, message, or reaction. This constant uncertainty keeps the brain emotionally invested because it mistakes intensity for importance. Past experiences strongly influence this behavior. People who experienced emotional neglect, inconsistent caregiving, abandonment, or conditional love in childhood often learn that love equals instability, unpredictability, or emotional effort. So toxic relationships feel familiar, and familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace. Gaslighting further damages perception. When someone repeatedly denies your feelings, minimizes your experiences, rewrites reality, or shifts blame, your brain begins doubting its own judgment, leading to confusion, self-blame, and emotional dependence. Over time, a person starts believing that they are too sensitive, difficult, or unlovable, which lowers self-esteem and increases attachment to the very person causing the harm. The sunk cost fallacy also keeps people stuck because the brain believes that leaving means all the time effort, emotions, sacrifices, and memories were wasted, so staying feels like the only way to justify the past. Even when the present is painful, the brain fears uncertainty more than ongoing pain. Predictable suffering feels easier than stepping into the unknown. Even when the unknown holds healing, slowly, a person loses their sense of self, adjusts expectations, normalizes disrespect, and silences their needs, believing this is what love requires. But real love does not require losing yourself, constantly proving your worth, walking on eggshells, or feeling anxious about being abandoned. Healthy love feels calm, stable, respectful, consistent, and emotionally safe, not confusing, draining, or emotionally exhausting. Healing begins with awareness. When you understand that staying was not weakness but a learned survival response, your brain developed to cope. Awareness creates distance from emotional chaos. Boundaries help regulate the nervous system, and support helps rewire attachment patterns. The brain is plastic. It can relearn healthier connections with time, self-compassion, and safe Relationships leaving a toxic relationship is not giving up. It is reclaiming your identity, protecting your mental health, and choosing long-term emotional safety. Peace may feel uncomfortable at first because chaos felt familiar, but peace is not boredom. Peace is regulation. Peace is safety. Peace is what real love actually feels like, and once the brain experiences consistent, healthy connection, it no longer confuses love with pain or attachment with survival. Yet healing is not a single moment. It is a slow rebuilding of trust inside yourself. It is learning to recognize the difference between intensity and intimacy. It is understanding that love should not feel like constant tension or emotional punishment. And it is realizing that your worth is not measured by how much you tolerate it. It starts with small steps like noticing when your body tightens when you receive a text, or when you hesitate to speak your truth. Then you learn to set limits without feeling guilty. You start saying no without fearing abandonment. You begin to choose people who respond with consistency, not mood swings. You learn that respect is not earned, it is a basic requirement, and that a relationship that repeatedly makes you feel small is not love, it is control. A healthy relationship supports your growth. It does not demand your silence or your sacrifice. It does not make you question your reality or beg for affection, and when you begin to experience emotional safety, you will feel a calm that you may not have known was possible. This calm is not emptiness, it is clarity. It is your nervous system finally relaxing and your heart remembering that love can be gentle and steady. If you want to change your story, you must stop confusing survival with love. Stop equating pain with commitment, and stop believing that your emotional value depends on being needed by someone who hurts you. Leaving is not betrayal, it is self-preservation, and it is the first real act of love you owe yourself.